The LMC casts a wide net over the Sound Shore to bring you local event info, profiles, and conversations. Recorded in the heart of the village in Mamaroneck Cinemas at the studio on the Avenue, LMC Media brings you the LMC Cast Community Profiles.
Hello, we are EMC, a team of students from Ewha Womans University. It's a pleasure to meet you through the 2024 Ewha Global Frontier Winter Program. Thank you once again for agreeing to this visit and interview. Before starting the interview, we will briefly introduce our team and share information about the program. First, let us introduce our team. Our team member consists of 4 members: our team leader, Eun-bin Go, team members Min-hye Park and Young-seo Choi, and myself, Da-kwon Lee. Currently, Eun-bin, I, and Young-seo are studying communication and media, while Min-hye is majoring in Korean language and literature. Additionally, Eun-bin and I are seniors, and Young-seo and Min-hye are juniors at Ewha Womans University. Our team recognizes that media often overlooks or misrepresents the voices of minority groups. This awareness has motivated us to explore how media centers can better serve all citizens and strengthen their impact in Korea. Next, we will introduce what the Ewha Global Frontier program is all about. The Ewha Global Frontier aims to cultivate global leaders by providing students the opportunity to explore international organizations and conduct research.
Next, we would like to introduce our team's exploration theme and objectives. Our exploration focuses on activating media centers to enhance media education and access for citizens. First, we are studying how media centers run citizen education programs. Second, we are looking into how they create and share content on community issues. Lastly, we are focusing on their networking efforts with residents and other media organizations. Through this, we aim to find challenges in domestic media centers and suggest ways to improve them. The final section is about the expected outcomes of our overseas exploration. We have 3 main outcomes: an exploration report analyzing overseas media centers, a briefing presentation with key insights for stakeholders, and a feature article on the importance of media centers to be published in our university's student newspaper. That concludes our presentation. Thank you very much for your time and attention.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For your wonderful presentation. And then, if it's all right with you, we'd like to move on to the interview question.
Of course.
Shall we get started?
I'm ready.
Yeah.
Are you guys ready?
Yes, we're
Let's
ready.
do it.
Okay. So, first question is about the education. So, what are your key goals and directions in running youth programs? What efforts are made to ensure that these programs continue to thrive rather than being one-time events?
Well, thank you for the question. Again, thank you all for being here. I know you've come a long way, and I appreciate you reaching out to LMC and having interest in the work that we do, not just as our own organization, but the work that we're doing in this field. And I think from everything you've said in your presentation, you've hit on a lot of great points, things that we could all be doing better in this industry, and things that we have to do better in this industry. Part of what we do here at LMC is, of course, we are a public education and government media center. So that the E for education, is a major component of the work that we do. We work with a lot of students at the high school level and even lower elementary school, grade level, middle school. And our goal is essentially to give people here in this community and beyond the tools that they need to be better storytellers, and also to make sure that they know that they have a voice and know how to have their voice be heard. So one of the initiatives, and this started last year, was our Future Filmmaker Project. And this is a great program that we initiated Dina Schumacher, who's our assistant director, sort of the brainchild behind bringing this to the community. And we work with local schools. There's no, you have to be a Westchester high school student that's sort of studying media education, film, and you submit reels and you apply to this program. Once you're accepted into the program, we accept 4 filmmakers per year. So there's 1 every semester. And they're given a small stipend. So they're paid actually to make their own films, and they make 2 films in each semester. We used to do 3, and now we're doing 2 for this year because we found that the amount of work that 3 films required was, a little too much given the students' workload. So they're also given a small stipend to pay an actor to appear in their film. And what they have to do with this film, there's really only one rule. It has to be about community, and it has to be some sort of a reflection on what it means to be a community member, here or in their community. So it's, I think, a very empowering opportunity for these young filmmakers to be paid, really, to make their first films. It may not be their first film, rather, but it may be the first time that they're being paid to make a film. So it really is about empowerment and allowing these young artists to have a voice and a place and feel that they can make a change in the world.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you for answering. Shall we move on another question? Yeah. Next question is about production and distribution. In the case of LMC Media, is there a well-established connection between production and distribution? If so, how is this process structured?
Sure. So we have multiple platforms that we can post our content. We have cable channels. We have online, of course, through our streaming on our website. We have apps that people can put on their Roku TV or on Apple TV. And then we have our various platforms on social media, so YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, maybe we're going to see what happens there, Instagram, LinkedIn. So what we try to do is, everyone is engaging and sort of ingesting their media in different ways. You may have someone who just watches news and gets their information watching television. You may have other people who have completely cut the cord and they only want to watch things on their phone, or they want to watch something on their iPad. So I believe that if we can be everywhere, we have the best chance of making sure that all of our content is being seen by as many people as possible.
Does LMC Media have a distinct approach to addressing the challenge of ensuring local content gains visibility on capital-driven platforms like YouTube?
So this is always a constant struggle, is how to be seen. And I think we live in an oversaturated media world where everyone is producing content. There is so much that is out there. How do you break through? How are you the ones who are seen? I think if you're trying to go viral, that's a different game. But for us, what our goal here is, yes, we want eyeballs. We want people seeing our content, but we want our content to matter. And I think the way that your content matters is by creating good quality local content that is not being done elsewhere. Part of the issue that we have, I think, on a national level here in this country is that news channels and news outlets are starting to dry up, and you see less and less news available in small communities throughout the United States. So what we need is more media centers. We need more people who are producing local news content and hearing good stories about what's being done in our communities, not just murder rates and crime blotters and bad things that people want to hear and drive us to think that the only thing that's going on in the world is bad stuff. There's a lot of good that's being done. And I think that's what we try to do here, is we try to shine a spotlight and a focus on all the good that's coming out of this community, the people who live here, the people who come and do business here, and our students and everyone in between.
We want to ask about networking as well. So over the past 40 years, LMC Media has fostered civic engagement through programs like municipal meeting broadcast, is okay, and media makers. Then how have these initiatives influenced networking and communication within the community?
Sure. So, we cover a vast range of topics in the community. You've mentioned municipal meetings, media makers. We also cover local events that are taking place. So if it's a new business that's doing a ribbon cutting, if it is a parade, we want to cover that live here right outside on Mamaroneck Avenue. There's a number of different programming and opportunities for us to be present in the community. I think most of it boils down to being seen. And for people to know we're here, we exist, we're here to help. We want to get the word out and have your story told. So we have a wonderful staff here at LMC that works very hard. We have incredible volunteers who are always so giving of their time. We have a board of directors, and we have a community at large that really supports the work that we do. So it's a matter of making sure that all of those people are at as many of those events as possible, and that everybody knows who we are and the work that we're doing. A lot of this boils down to, people thinking about, well, let's call up LMC. We may not know about every little thing that's going on, but if people can reach out to us, or especially in the age of social media, start sharing that content, we're always happy to, reshare and post and do things like that. So it's not just us creating content on our end, but it's really sharing that content as well. And that's something that we've really tried to focus on the past several years, is making sure that the entire community at large is heard, both, sort of physically present, but also on the various digital platforms.
Thank you for your impressive answer.
Thank you.
Yeah. Next question is about operation and funding.
Okay.
Yeah. We would like to know about the key operational staff and funding sources of LMC Media.
So we have 4 full-time staff members. Myself as executive director. We have Dina Schumacher, who is our assistant director. We have Stefan Aloisa, who does the majority of our programming, both on our channel, streaming, website, and YouTube. And Anthony Polachicchio, who is our municipal meetings technician, oversees municipal meetings. He deals with our various shoots that are going on in the community. So people call in and tell us about something that they want to have covered. He's sort of managing that. He's also managing our parades and a lot of our live coverage. So that's our full-time staff. From a part-time standpoint, we have Tim Whitney, who is our studio manager. And we have a number of other people that are working with us and are, various capacities, videographers, editors, municipal meeting technicians. So we have Kira Alexander, who's actually on the other side of the cameras today helping us out. We have Sal Civarello, who's someone who's helped over the years. We have Sam Singer, who's a municipal technician. We have Xavier Campo, who's a municipal technician, and Logan Sass, who covers a lot of different events that we're covering in the community. I know I'm missing, I'm sure, some other part-time people. We had an office manager, Hema Nambiar, who's not working with us, but she was a huge part of our team. Lily Viapiano, who was our social media manager last year as well, both of whom are not working with LMC this year. But we certainly thank all of them for their service. And without the staff and volunteers and board, we don't exist. We don't have the thriving organization that's bringing this content forward to the community. From a funding standpoint, we sort of have 3 different funding, 3 funnels for our funding. We have cable franchise fees, which are through cable subscribers. We have our fundraising, because we are a nonprofit organization, so we do a gala at the end of the year, usually in October, and that's a huge event, but we also fundraise throughout the year as well. And we have our production services, so people can actually hire us or rent this space, and that's money that's used to fund the operation.
Thank you. Are the media education programs at LMC Media primarily led by internal staff or external instructors? If led by internal staff, is there a training process in place?
So the education component, I had mentioned the Future Filmmaker Project. That's run by Dina, who is, internal on our staff, a full-time staff member. She developed the program herself and really takes on a mentorship role with the students who are creating these films. The students usually come to us because a lot of them have been from Mamaroneck High School, Rye-Neck High School. A lot of them are very well versed and prepared because of the wonderful teachers that we have at our two high schools, Dave Golden and Elena Elmaznino. As far as looking forward at education courses and classes that we'd like to offer in the community, those are going to be taught by a mixture of sort of internal in-house educators and people that we're bringing in from outside the community. We're going to be looking a lot into AI work, so how can AI be implemented into media production, and also just the general AI overview to understand from a resident standpoint ChatGPT and some of the other programs that are out there so that they can understand how to use that in their lives and in their businesses.
Thank you for answering.
You're welcome.
And next is about philosophy and identity. So what is the operating philosophy of LMC Media? Could you share the key points or primary goals that you prioritize most in running the institution?
Sure. So our mission statement is to connect, create, and inform the Larchmont Mamaroneck community through the use of digital media. So it is about building community, and that is at the core of what we do. It's at the core, I think, of the missions of many of our other brother, sister organizations throughout the country, and certainly stations that you're all going to visit shortly. Boston and the outskirts around Boston is a very good stronghold for a lot of these organizations. There's a lot of wonderful community media centers in Boston, and then we have some down in the city as well. New York State as a whole, I think, is lacking in community media centers, and that's something that we're looking at addressing and hopefully changing in the future through legislation and giving municipalities across the state an initiative to actually spend money and open up media centers so that they can have what we have here across New York State. The goal, or the sort of pillars that we stand on here, again, all ties back to community. It's how we interact with the public, how we interact with our educational institutions, how we interact with our government, so that everyone in the community has a better understanding of what it means to live, work, and sort of recreate here, and why it's such a great place to live and work and visit. We're one of the few, I think a lot of media outlets shine a negative light, and or shine no light rather. And they, a lot of it becomes headlines that are just trying to grab attention of people. It's bad news. It's news that makes you scared and worried, and it keeps you coming back because they want to find out, what's the next crime that happened on the subway, But this is more about hope, and I think it's about creating a better community for everybody who's here, about creating a better world. I mean, we're a small little piece of the world, but if we all collectively started to change the way that we thought about the news, thought about information, and reported on information and news, I think we could start showing that, hey, this isn't such a bad place. We can be better. We should be better.
Yeah. Next question is about historical and social background. What are the core values that underpin media center in the United States, and how have historical and social contexts facilitated the emerge and growth of media centers and movements in the United States?
This is a very big question, and I don't even know how to begin to start to answer this, and that's a good thing. It's a wonderful question. But as far as core values go, I think, sort of goes back to what I just said. It's about community, right? It's about the sharing and information exchange so that people know, I'll use this as an example. We had a terrible storm here a few years back, and a lot of floodwaters that came, and a lot of people, businesses, residents were all impacted by these floods. And we started to receive a lot of phone calls from people asking, how can I help my neighbors who were in need, because they knew that people were suffering and they had lost, some people had lost everything in these floods. So they were calling us to ask, how can we help, or where can we get help from? Because they knew how connected we were with all the organizations in the community, not just to the government organizations, but to the nonprofits who do a lot of the work here to help flood victims. The Fuller Center for Greater Housing is one that comes to mind, and Jim Kaloran, who does a ton of work for local people here who are in need. So it's the connections, right? Like, media centers are the connection point in our communities to understand what is happening, who are the big players, how can this person who needs help get that help. So that's what I believe is sort of the greatest thing, really, that we can offer, is connecting, building those bridges. I don't know if that fully answers your question. We may have to get into do a whole history lesson. That'll be the follow-up interview when you come back.
I totally agree your answer.
Thank you.
And then next is about command center. So is there a specific organization in the U.S. that functions as a command center for media centers and public access channel? If so, which entity plays this role? Government department, ACM, FCC, or perhaps third-party organizations? Do you think such a command center is necessary, or do you believe it is unnecessary?
So the FCC sort of oversees everything from a government standpoint. But as far as central command or a group or organization that tries to help and promote the messaging of media centers, that's the Alliance for Community Media. So the Alliance for Community Media has both a national branch as well as regional branches that help throughout the country. And it's a great group, and that's how I've met so many of my colleagues from around the country at conferences and workshops and Zooms, whatever it is. It's made this really big place feel a lot smaller because people get to know each other, and we all help each other, actually. There's an incredible thing called the Listserv, which is an online forum where people can go to if they have any questions. So if you're a leader in community media, or if you're affiliated with a community media organization, you can ask all of your colleagues around the country, hey, I have this question about copyright issues. You send it out, and then you get the wisdom of everybody else who's out there. So it's a great resource in a way that we can help each other. And another thing that they do is they put together conferences so we can all learn from each other. And at the conferences, you have educational workshops, you have just sort of meet and greets. We have a whole awards program, so people submit their programming from throughout the country, and they win awards. So it's a really great opportunity for everybody to kind of come together and utilize our resources and help each other.
As you say, I think you have very great network between the media centers.
Yeah.
And next question is about exchange between media centers. Is there active exchange between media centers in the U.S.? If so, how does this exchange take place, and what kinds of information and activities are typically shared?
Right. So again, the Alliance for Community Media being the #1 way in which people can exchange that information through the listserv, through emails. They send out weekly emails that go out to community media centers across the country. And for any media centers who are not a part of that network, I would highly suggest that they become a part of that network, because that's a way that we can all connect and empower each other.
And next is, I think you already answered the next question, but we'd like to know about the efforts and method used by LMC Media to encourage active citizen participation. And additionally, we would appreciate your personal opinions on what kinds of programs and approaches could be effective in increasing participation.
So we have a very open door policy. And we want people to come in. We want people to utilize these services. We want to help tell stories. That's at the end of the day. We don't want to put up, roadblocks that stop people from getting their story and their messages out there. We have free equipment use for the public. This space is actually free to use for Larchmont Mamaroneck residents and businesses in our school district. We have free edit stations that they can use to work on their projects. So a lot of it is about, again, access, empowerment, so that people have the tools at their hands. And, we're here, we have a wonderful staff, as I had mentioned, that's here to help the public and teach them. They could be a beginner. They could be someone who has a little bit of knowledge of media, or they could be a media professional. We have a news anchor who was a New York legend for a number of years, presenting news, and everyone who grew up during a certain time knew of this man. Ernie Anastas is his name, and he produced his show right here because we have the professional facility to do that. So anyone and everyone can come in and use this space. It's for the people. It's for the public to use.
It's our last official question. According to the annual report, LMC Media launched a diversity, equality, and inclusion committee in 2022. What role does the DEI committee play within the media centers, and why do you believe it is significant?
Sure. Thank you for that question. There's been, I think, a movement around the country to be more open and to make sure that people from all different walks of life and background and, philosophies and the way we look, whatever you want to say, they all have a place, right? That's important. We should all have a place at this table. Everybody in America, hopefully, has one vote, and they have a voice, and they have a story. Those all need to be counted. That is, I think, at the center of what we do here, is making sure that no matter how much money you have, or what your background is, or what you believe in, or who you voted for, come in, make media, talk, have conversations. The thing that we're doing now, and I think one of the biggest problems that we have in this country, is that people have stopped talking with each other, and they're only talking to each other. And it's created an environment where you're either here or you're here, and there's nothing in the middle. And we can't live that way. It's not a sustainable model. It has to be based on conversation. It has to be based on compromise and a world where you may not get your way. You may want to be here, and this person may want to be here. Well, maybe we meet in the middle. I think that's part of learning to be an adult, right? Is to not have your way, is to not get the thing that you want. And we all need to get back to a place where we can, again, have those conversations and say, it's okay that you think this way, it's okay that you think that way, but let's figure out, what about the way that you're thinking, what about the way that I'm thinking, what's in common? What's the thing that connects us? And so the connection point is what's important. And the connection point is only going to be derived from actually sitting down and listening to people. And that's what I like about this space. When we created this studio and facility, we wanted to make it feel open and warm to the public, almost like a living room that you could be talking with your friends over dinner or something, It's a place for people to sit down and listen and to converse with each other. So on that note, thank you all for being here. I really appreciate your time and your interest in LMC and in community media. I'm not sure if there were any other questions. I think we answered a lot of questions today, and we had a nice conversation.
Yeah.
So again, thank you so much for being here. And for everybody who's listening or watching this, we thank you all at home. I'm looking into that camera. And I think we all have to say together, maybe we should say, thanks for watching LMC Media. Right?
Okay.
Thanks for watching LMC Media.
Thank LMC Media.
The LMC casts a wide net over the Sound Shore to bring you local event info, profiles, and conversations. Recorded in the heart of the village in Mamaroneck Cinemas at the studio on the Avenue, LMC Media brings you the LMC Cast Community Profiles.